Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to talk about sort of the way that I've always, for years and years and years, worked the business in the summer, right? Around the kids' schedule, all of that. So if you are approaching the summer months and you have kids at home, it doesn't matter if they're small kids, medium kids, large kids. Right? Doesn't matter what ages they're at. Maybe they're your grandkids, right? Maybe they're kids that you watch. Maybe they're neighbor kids, right? But any sort of kids that you're working around your schedule and your business, all that good stuff. These are solutions for you, right? Because the kids are home and you're kind of juggling your schedule around them. And so there are lots of things that you want to do. So we always had a list of 100. So I'm going to show you a couple gems from our past list of 100. So I have lists from the past. All right, so we always put them on. We always made a big to do about it, and we had our big list of 100. You can do a list of 50. You can do a list of 25, but they're like bucket lists of what you want to do for the summer, right? And so it's a fun activity to do with the kids, and you put things on here. And we always made it a mix of the majority. I would say, it was probably 95.5 is the percentage of things that are free versus cost. So 95% of the things are free activities and 5% of them have costs. And the cost ones are typically things we already have memberships to, if you see what I'm saying. Okay, so so I tried to make it as free as possible, or things that we already kind of like have some sort of a way to access, right? So we have, like, we live here in Ohio. I don't know how many of you are Ohioans, but so one of the things on our list typically is going to Kings Island, because my sister lives in Cincinnati and her boys worked at Kings Island and could get us free tickets. Okay, you see what I'm saying? But it would cost us a little bit of money, but not the full cost. Okay, so we would kind of work the system, but we always tried to kind of like make it as cost effective. Okay. And so we would do our list and we would check them off as we went along. And so we would have days of like, hey, let's do something off the list. And then as we went along, these are things that weren't on the list that we did do, because we never made it to all of the things on our list of 100. It was never about filling up the whole list. This just gave us a lot of options to pull from. But we always add, we ended up doing things that weren't on the list. So we started filling those things in on the back, because at the end of the year, they would be like, we didn't do all these things. And I'm like, but wait, we did all these additional things, right? And so I was like, we need credit for, I need credit for those things, okay? So they weren't all like, wait a minute. But they had things on there like, let me just read a few, like, go to a baseball game, right? That could be, a little league game, right? A no charge little league game. I'm not talking about a professional baseball game, right? It doesn't have to be that, right? Play cornhole, right? Play cornhole in the backyard. Go to the Cleveland Zoo, right? We had passes at the time. Okay, so that was already paid for a long time ago. A movie marathon, right? That doesn't cost anything. That's binging Netflix, okay? Or Disney Plus, okay? So you see what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be something super expensive or anything like that. Make paper airplanes, we would do a paper airplane war. And so we would have all these paper airplanes, and we would have two different piles of paper airplanes, and we would just start bombing each other with paper airplanes. And it would be super fun. And my mom, at her place, when we would do this at her place, it was kind of fun because she has like a lofted space. And so somebody would have the advantage by being in the lofted space with their paper airplanes. All right. So, but something you can do is you can kind of categorize them into sort of like outdoor fun and creative artistic sort of fun. And so outdoor fun would be taking a walk. It would be doing a nature scavenger hunt. And it was so cute. I saw this little girl the other day because I was sitting, we have a big sort of picture window downstairs, and so I was sitting by there. I like to sit there sometimes and just kind of eat breakfast or whatever. So I was sitting there and I watched this little girl going down the street, and the mom was pushing a stroller, and the little girl was going down the street. She had this little clipboard, and the mom had a basket in her, like, hooked on her arm. And the little girl was picking things up and checking things off a list. And so they were doing some sort of a scavenger hunt. And I was like, oh my God, I love that. Right. So like a little nature walk scavenger hunt, doing things like that, visiting a farmer's market, right? Those are things you can do outdoors. A creative artistic thing, sidewalk chalk art, right? Just get out the chalk and just sit in the driveway with them and do sidewalk chalk, or on the sidewalk, or doing things like that. And origami origami, right? Just sitting outside and doing origami or doing it inside on a rainy day. And you can just Google that, right? So you don't have to go and get a fancy origami book, or you can get something from the library and you can just use construction paper. You don't have to have the fancy to do paper. You can use colored printer paper, you know? It doesn't have to be anything super super whatever, you know, friendship bracelets. If you have like colored thread, you can then just like again watch a YouTube video. I mean, back in the day, you had to have a friend who knew how to do the flat one that was like 1 inch wide, or the one that was like a square knot and all that. You had to have a friend that taught you how to do this stuff. And now you have YouTube, and YouTube is your friend, right? So you can learn how to do all those things. So you can do those things with your kids. But community and social activities, we have in our area, we have a river that goes through town. We're Kaga Falls. Okay, so we have a river, we have falls, we have all that stuff. So at one point in the summer or in the fall, they do a river cleanup, right? And so we can participate in that. Maybe your area has some sort of a community outreach that they do that you can do with your kids, and that's something fun that you can add to your list. Or maybe your community has a movie night. We have a movie night. We have like an amphitheater as a movie night. Every Thursday night, they feature a movie, and that's something fun. Again, it's super free, so that's always fun. And we have wading pools in the area, which is fun. And sometimes they have like yoga in the park through Parks and Rec and things, you know, if you just kind of do some searches. And the library is such a wonderful resource. Last summer, we did everything. I think we did every library program that we could possibly do. So James did all the library programs for free. Of course, we always do the summer reading program. And then he did a swimming program. So that we paid for the swimming program, but we did all the free library programs, and then of course the summer reading program, you know, so things like that. River walks. Oh my gosh. If you live in an area that has rivers, creeks, anything like that, you can go on river walks. It's absolutely free. Find the shallow areas of the river and just walk in the river. Get river shoes. They're super inexpensive. Crocs. Okay. And just walk in the river. And it's so fun to be able to walk and experience that and just find the different stones in the river and different things and the different wildlife. It's so cool to be able to do those nature things with your kids, and just kind of experience that. And here in our area, we have the metro parks. We have a national park in our area. So if you're able to experience things like that, or if maybe it's a short drive, we of course have the lake that we can get to that's not too far from us. If you live in the Cleveland area, it's very close. For us, it's about 45 minutes, still close enough. And we have some lakes down by us as well, but nothing's better than the Great Lake, right? And so searching for beach glass, all that kind of stuff. So many cool things that you can add to your list. Geocaching, if you've ever done that, that's kind of fun that you can do a little bit techy with your stuff, but you can still do it outdoors and it's super fun. But the thing that you can do with this list to leverage it is you can have one of the things that I would always do is I try to have daily structure in my schedule, and this is where the magic happens to be able to work your business and leverage this list. So I would have blocked schedule every day. I would have a block schedule, and so I would work my business for 35 minutes straight or 45 minutes straight, and then I would have 45 minutes of like down in the floor playing with the kids, and we would be like knocking out things on this list, or we would just be playing. We'd be playing board games, card games, things along those lines. It wasn't always about the list, but it was like, and it was funny because I remember very, very early on, maybe even before I was in Tupperware, I remember asking Pam, you know, how did you do it? How did you raise kids in a business and be able to balance all of that? And she simply said one thing to me, and she said, work hard, play hard. And she said, when you're working, you're all in, you're working. When you're playing, you're down in the floor, all in playing. You're not answering your phone. You're not doing things like that. You're all in, eye to eye, you know, playing with the kids. And I always took that to heart. And so I always try my best. And once smartphones got introduced into our lives, it made it a little bit harder, right? And so there was a little bit of a learning curve there, trying to be discipline myself away from looking at that while I was down in the floor with them. And one of the times, I'll be honest, one of the times my daughter had just gotten what was it, the I touch thing. It was like there was like the iPod, and then there was iPad, but there was something in between there, like an iTouch, and it was kind of between a phone and an iPad, right? So she got that little thing, and it was and I remember she was sitting on the sofa, and she was just sitting there on the sofa, and she picked it up and looked at it and then put it back down, and I said, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I'm just checking it." And I was like, "Oh." I was like, "She got that from me." I was like, "Okay." So then I started really recognizing like how often I was checking it, right? How often was I checking my phone and doing things like that? But she was, gosh, she was younger than James. Like she was probably like 8 or 9 maybe when she did that. I caught her doing that, and I was like, "Okay, this needs to like I need to check this." Like, and so that was an eye opener for me to recognize, am I working hard, playing hard, and separating those two things? So those time blocks were very, very important. Another thing is you can do like fun theme days, and so I can have a water Wednesday. So on Wednesdays, we do water activities, or we have a creative Friday. And on Fridays, we pull something from the list. Maybe Thursday night, we look at our list and we're like, it's creative Friday tomorrow. Let's look at our list and see what's something on here that is a creative activity that we can do during our playtime tomorrow. And they're like, "Oh, sidewalk chalk," or, "Oh, let's stargaze. Let's look at the clouds and see what's in the clouds tomorrow." We love to look at clouds and see what's in the clouds, right? So that's creative, right? So there's things like that. So you can kind of have themed out days. Outdoor work hours. Okay, this is huge. So at one point, I was at a point in my business, I really wanted to explode my business. We were coming into summer, and I knew I needed to just really, lean into work in my business that summer, and I wanted to make sure that I was giving my kids the attention that they needed, right? And so that summer, I got really creative. I looked on buy sell trade, and I ended up finding one of those above ground pools, those sort of like temporary pools, not like a full blown above ground pool that's really fancy that you leave up, right? But like one of those sort of like inflatable type above ground pools, right? That's not super expensive. And so we got one of those. And then we had sort of like an easy up, an inexpensive easy up type of a tent, right? And then I made sure my Wi-Fi would reach where this tent was. And so I made a workspace out there. And so I was able to work on my laptop outside while the kids were playing in the pool. And the kids were old enough that I could kind of look away as they were playing in the pool. That was the summer that they were just old enough that they were high enough to be able to, they could walk in the pool and be above water, all that stuff. And I really geared their activities that summer around being able to work outdoors with them as they were doing their activities. And so I really made sure that I had the tools in place to be able to work my business outside with them being able to do their activities. So I made sure I had all those fun things for them to do outside so that I could be outside with them while we were doing those things together. And so that's really important. But also planning your days around, like if you have something big that you have to do that afternoon, maybe you need to close out some parties, maybe you need to do some follow up, maybe you need to do some things like that in the afternoon. Maybe you plan to go live and do some demos in the afternoon. Do morning activities with them. Do morning activities with them. Give them all of your attention in the morning so that they really, feel the love. They feel like they have gotten your full attention that morning, whether you guys go do a morning activity, maybe you go to a nature preserve that morning, maybe that morning they have like a free program at the library that you can attend and do something like that, do something really fun off of your list. And then you can, in the afternoon, guilt free, be focusing on your business and be able to do the things that you need to do in your business, right? And so you can be able to do those sort of things with them, and be able to and involve them with it, right? And so have family meetings talking about, these are the goals that I need to accomplish in my business this week, right? Be like, hey, I have 3 parties this week that I need to work. I have 3 online parties this week, or maybe I have a vendor event later this week that I need to pack for this week. So I'm going to need at least an hour this day, maybe another hour this day to focus so I can pack for my party, make signs for my vendor event or whatever. And then at the vendor event this weekend, if you want to come work the vendor event with me, or I'm not going to be available this weekend, so you're going to go hang out with grandma this weekend while I'm at my vendor event, you're just giving them a heads up. You're involving them in the process. And that makes a big difference. And some of your kids, based on their personality, they need that heads up. They need to know what's going on. It helps calm them down when they know what's the next step, what's happening next. It's when they don't know what's happening next, that's when they get squirrely, that's when they get stressed and upset about things that are happening. I've got two kids like that. I've one that will go with the flow all day long, right? She is up for anything. The second it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, hey, you want to go to Target? She's like, yes, I thought you never asked. She, I texted her today and I said, hey, I got to take these cell phones back to Verizon. Can you check something? And so she said she was waiting for me. She thought I was coming straight home. So she said she was waiting downstairs for me and that she was going to be sitting there for me, like, can I come with you? But I didn't come home. She goes, I was waiting for you for 20 minutes. She goes, and then finally I was like, she's not coming home. So she went upstairs and it just made me laugh. That's my go with the flow. That's the one that will just go and do anything. The other two, they need warning. They need to know what's coming next. I need to give them warning. I have to tell them a day in advance that we're going to have to they have to go to Verizon with me. If I don't tell them a day in advance, I get a lot of pushback. They're like, Verizon, what? Why? How long is it going to take? Where is it? How far do we have to drive? What's happening? Right. So you might be laughing right now because you have people in your house that are like that. Maybe it's your spouse. Okay. But we got to give them warning. Okay. So that's why a family meeting is really helpful to get everybody on the same page. Everybody feels like they're a part of it. And then they feel like they can join in your success and they can be a part of of the journey with you. And so that's really important to be able to do those things as well. And then something also that's kind of fun to do is maybe in the evening, have those evening activities that you can do also after a successful day of working. And just everybody just kind of lays back and rewards with a wonderful evening activity of sparklers and something fun, or a movie night outside. There are cool things that you can do now. I think that there's like, my daughter was even, because I saw a video on it, and then my daughter's like, did you know that you can put your cell phone in a cup and like make a projector on the wall using your cell phone in a cup? I was like, I saw a video on that. Apparently it works. So you should try it. So you don't have to have all kinds of fancy equipment. There's so many cool things that you can do to make things fun. But another quick thing, one last thing that I want to mention is weekly or daily evening prep time. It's so important to set yourself up for success for the next day. And this is not just a summer thing, this is an everyday thing. Set yourself up for success for the next day. And I wish my husband was here so he could be overhearing me doing this training because he needs to do this. He doesn't. And it drives me crazy because every morning I see him and he's so stressed out in the morning. And I'm like, my guy, all you need to do is set yourself up for success the evening before, and your day would be so much easier. But I watch him every morning get so stressed out, and I'm like, ugh, okay. I'm like, I have a solution for you. But something that I do, and let me pull it out for you guys. Okay, so something that I do a lot of times, I've got planners and I got things. But one of my favorite things to do, I'm trying to find a blank one because this is how much I do it. All of mine are full. Oh my gosh, like for reals. All right, so I love this size note card. I bought it by accident one time. I thought I was buying regular size index cards, and I bought these gigantic ones because I don't read when I buy things, and sometimes I buy really small things and I buy really big things because I don't read. But I bought these really big note cards, and so I bought these really big note cards. I love this size because I have them in my nightstand and I will pull them out and I will write my most important. This is my brain dump the night before. And this is what allows me to go to bed at night. This is what allows my brain to stop working so that I can just go to sleep at night. And a lot of times it's like work, work, work. And then sometimes it's like schedule your doctor's appointment, to call the dentist, right? It's just like stupid stuff like that I keep forgetting to do, or like make sure to order new socks, like, just dumb stuff that's on my brain, right? All of us, we're all on the same page, or like buy bananas, like, so so this helps so much, just downloading your brain onto something, whether it's a notepad or if it is your planner or if it's the notes in your phone, it doesn't matter, whatever system works for you, but set yourself up for success the day before so that next morning you are ready to roll and you know what you're doing, because the next morning, sometimes your brain's fuzzy, and I know mine is. But if I have this, I look at it and I'm like, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay, let's go. So all right, so I hope that helps, and I hope that you do your list of 125, 50, whatever you want to call it, and you have a super awesome summer.